Hello, my name's Tim, welcome to Tim Burbage Reads, and today I'm going to be talking to you about what I read in May and what I'm planning to read in June. Yes, this is mid-June. May was a super busy month for me. It was really crazy from a work perspective and from a life perspective, and then we went on holiday. In the last week we went to Orlando, we went to Disney World, and it was just the perfect holiday. Like, it was so nice to switch off and just have a fantastic time. So in May itself, I actually only finished 2 books, which isn't great for me. It is great for some people, but I did get through a lot. I read a lot, but I didn't finish a lot. So the 2 books that I finished were Princess of Thieves by Mary Mancusi, a Disney twisted tale. What if Maid Marian was the real outlaw? I've got a review on my channel if you want to see that. This one I gave 5 stars, I think. I love Robin Hood. So this was a story. This story it's not a huge twist. It's more like little tweaks, which I don't mind because I think Robin Hood is perfect. So I'm okay with that. And the next thing, the only other thing I finished was Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is set in the 90s. It's about the former most Grand Slam winning female tennis player coming out of retirement for 1 year to try and get her record back. I enjoyed this. I do still think about it. I thought the prose was very accessible, but because of that, it ended up being a little bit lightweight for me. But I borrowed this from my sister-in-law. She lent me this, and I'm definitely interested in more Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. And I know she's got a brand new book coming out, like Astronauts: A Love Story, which sounds really interesting. And I'm super interested in reading more because I really enjoyed it. Then there's a few books which I was reading. I started in May and actually ended up finishing in June. One of which is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This is the first in a trilogy, and it's all about a girl called Rin, who is an orphan, and she goes to this military academy and then ends up being in a war. I read this, I would say co-read this, Buddy read this, but I didn't do a lot of reading at the time, with Charlie from Charlie Read or Charlie Read a book, depends on the context. So I'm planning to do a chat with him about it, on our thoughts. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. It's not perfect by any stretch, and there's some things that I enjoyed way more than other things, but yeah, I'm looking forward to having that chat. That was it from kind of hangovers. Oh, one more thing actually. I was reading a couple of books to the kids. So what we generally do is I read to both kids, and then my wife reads to my daughter, and then I read to my son. They kind of go into their own rooms, and that kind of helps chill them out in time for bedtime. So I finished the book that I was reading to my son. I only finished that a couple of nights ago, which was Which Way to Anywhere by Cressida Cowell. So this is from the same author of How to Train Your Dragon. This book is insane. Just insane. A family with a magical secret, a child with a powerful gift, a story that is out of this world. I think that is incredibly accurate. So I've never read a book like this, really. It's, you could say it's an urban fantasy because it starts off with 4 kids. You've got Theo, you've got Mabel, these are 2 sets of step siblings that have come together. And then so their dad is called Daniel, and he is a teacher, and he has married, their mum died, I think, and then he married a woman called Freya, and these are her 2 kids, Isabird and K2, like the mountain. There is another baby, a baby that's called Anapek. So kids with some pretty weird names. He's got an eye patch because he's got a lazy eye. Their dad was called Everest and was like an explorer, and their surname is O'Hero. They're the O'Heroes. And they live in a house that's full of ghosts, and there's witches and magic. And the thing that I find really, really interesting about this was the mixture of magic and technology. So the magic here is that one of them has a gift where if you draw an atlas of a made-up place, that's a way you could travel to that world. So it's not a fictional world, you're just drawing it out, and then you kind of you X marks a spot and you go through what's called a witch way, and you go to another world. And lots of people, there's like a whole universe of people who traverse the worlds via the witchways, and Earth is kind of a bit of a backwater planet. And these kids end up on this adventure, traveling to another world, there's found family, there's lost family, but the magic, there's also tons of technology. You see, there's robots and flying hoverboards and killer Terminator robots and giant beasts with human faces and people who are bounty hunters that have got like one cyber arm and one arm made of wood. The art in this as well is, look at that, is incredible. There's some great pictures of the kids and of their world, and like one of them has got like, there's a source of magic which is just controlling plastic. Look at that. It's just absolutely mental. And I started reading it, and it has a really interesting narrator as well. I started reading it and I was like, this is incredible. This is a 5-star read, no doubt. This is one of the best things I've ever read to my son. And then it kept going. This version is 444 pages long. That's way too long for a book like this. This book just never ended. There were so many, there's like 3 different epilogues. You know what I mean? There's an epilogue, and I'm like, cool, I finished it. Oh, and then there's a poem. Okay. Oh, and then there's much later in another world. An end credit scene. That's just so... This book is just too long. So I moved it down to 4 stars. But I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I just wished it wasn't so long. There's so many things being looked at in here. So many themes, so many crazy moments, so many mad world building, giant trees walking across a desert, toothbrushes, and there's a hairdryer that becomes sentient and is used as a finding device, like a divining rod. People like killer Venus flytrap plants that are giant, people being trapped in seed pods in a giant tree. There's a mining corporation. There's just so much. There's just so much witches riding on hoovers. There was just a bit too much in it for me. And like, it took us 2 months to read this. That's how long it took me to read to my son, reading every night. So 4 stars. Very, very, I really enjoyed it. It was just too long. And then the other book that I was reading to both kids, we're changing tact on. So it's Spaceband by Tom Fletcher. So Tom Fletcher is primarily a singer, musician with the band McFly, and he's now gone into writing kids' books. We've read The Christmasaurus and The Christmasaurus and the Winter Witch, which were both pretty good. Then we read The Creakers, which is just peak. Like, The Creakers is so good. And we're like, cool, and we got this and another book for the kids for their birthdays, I think, or for Easter. And we're like, oh, we'll read them all together. And everyone was really excited. And then we started reading it, and it's written from the kids' perspective. It says, this book contains musical awesomeness performed by McFly. And you're like, great, this is going to be really good. And, you get the songs, and you have a QR code that you can, like, scan, and then it will play the song. And the story of this is supposedly the worst band on Earth, and they get abducted into intergalactic song contest. And they're fighting in this song contest for their planet's survival. Sounds really interesting. Works really well with the band. My daughter really didn't like it. She was really bored. And one of the reasons why she was so bored is that it just takes too long to get going. So when do they get abducted by aliens? They get abducted 88 pages in. That's 88 pages of them not being a space band. That's too long. That's too long for not very much happening. And when it comes to the songs, I think there's 8 songs in total, and before they get abducted, you have, I want to say most of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that the same song? Yeah, 6, 7. So I think you have the majority of songs. And the thing is that this is written in first person, and the point is that it's the kid's book, and he writes down his songs in the book. So the only songs you get are from the kid's band. They're the only songs that you hear. And they're fine. A lot of them are like a minute long. They're not like The Creakers, which was a full musical production. This is a waste of McFly's effort, really. And they're accurate in that they sound like songs written by a 10-year-old or however old he's meant to be. One of the songs is Nothing Rhymes with Sausage, and he's just trying to come up with words that rhyme with sausage. That kind of silliness song. But then they get taken to the aliens, and I'm like, cool. And then we get none of the alien songs. We just get described their songs. And my son really likes it because he really likes space, and he likes, playing the drums and all that kind of stuff. So he's enjoying it, but my daughter was really not enjoying it and would rather do anything than kind of have joint reading time reading this. So we're stopping to reading both of them. Now that I've finally finished Which Way to Anywhere, I'm going to finish reading this to my son and see how it goes. We are just over halfway. They've had 2 different rounds of the song contest. And the art in it isn't as evocative as in The Creakers or in other books. Who is the illustrator? He's had the same illustrator for all of his other books, and this one's got a different one, and it's just not quite hitting. So I think it's okay. I think it's the worst one we've read as a group, and I can completely understand why my daughter's not enjoying it. My son still really likes it, and he still sings the songs, which is good in a way, but they're also quite annoying. So that was May. Sorry this video's so long, but I just needed to talk about those. And then for June, I've got quite a few. Well, for June, I've finished The Poppy War and finished Which Way to Anywhere, and I'm planning to finish Space Band. But also, the book that we're now reading to both kids is, lost the bookmark, Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. We were going to rotate through Harry Potter, then it was Percy Jackson, then Tom Fletcher, then Harry Potter. But we're going to go see Hercules this weekend. We went to see the Percy Jackson show. They're both still obsessed with Percy Jackson, so we're going to go with this. Just started it. I've read the first 2 chapters. Look at that. Look how thin that is. This is 300 pages. I remember this being, and there's like a big chunk that is just the start of the next book as well. Yeah, 265 pages this is. I remember this being the shortest and probably the worst one. But I'm enjoying it so far, and it still has that fun Percy Jackson style to it. So I'll be reading that to the kids. And in terms of adult books, in terms of grown-up books, for my Disney challenge, I've already got a video explaining for Oliver and Company. I'm going to be doing reading A Tale of Two Cities. I've started that. Next thing I'm currently reading is I've got Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson. I'm only a little bit of the way in, and I need to read this quick because it needs to go back to the library. But so far, I'm 47 pages in, and he hasn't been kidnapped yet. So I don't really know what it's about. It's set in like the 17-somethings. It's very Scottish. So he's gone up to Scotland. I think he is Scottish. He meets his uncle Ebenezer, a second literary character called Ebenezer. What is going on? In the same month that I'm reading Dickens as well. Crazy. And so far nothing much has happened yet. So I'm reading that. I got sent a self-pub book, which is called Revived by Barbara Avon. It's kind of a novella. I've read that already. I read that earlier on in June. In terms of another small book I'm planning to read, just to kind of boost the numbers a bit, I'm planning to read The Wolf Trials by Kieran Millward Hargrave. This is set in the world of the Geomancer trilogy, where I've read the first 2 books. The Shadow of the Wolf Queen is book 1, and absolutely loved it. The Storm and the Sea Hawk is book 2, which is a brilliant book. And this is for World Book Day this year. My friend Karen, she wrote a little book. It's like 80 pages, and we bought it for £1, which is one thing I love about World Book Day. And this is called The Wolf Trials. Trial 1, Track a Wolf. Trial 2, Tame a Wolf. Trial 3, Train a Wolf. Era's always wanted to complete in the Wolf Trials. The winners become part of the Riders, an elite group of warriors who ride gigantic sea wolves. There's only one problem. Era can't take part because her mother is the fearsome Wolf Queen. She won't let that stop her though. Era decides to disguise herself and compete, but will she succeed? Will she be recognised? And if she isn't, will she survive the Wolf Trials? So yeah, she's a character of their peers. So this looks like it's a prequel, and yeah, I'm all for it. Anything that Kieran writes, I'm going to read. So the next thing is I'm planning on reading Divided by Tim Marshall, Why We're Living in an Age of Walls. This is a non-fiction that I wanted to read earlier in the year and didn't quite get to, so I'm kind of using June as a bit of time to like put that back in. I've read one other book by Tim Marshall, and it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to reading this. And what else? I was missing Jack London, so I put in a Jack London book as well, which is The Valley of the Moon. I know nothing about it. I just know it's my next Jack London book to read. Plus, I've also got the audiobook for The Two Towers, which I'm still working through, and Dracula, which I'm doing Dracula daily. And now I've read like 17, 18 entries. I've realised how long it goes to. It goes till November, so I'm going to be doing Dracula for the rest of the year, basically. And I'm already liking it more than reading Dracula normally, because when I read it the first time, I got all of Jonathan Harkness. Bits were Jonathan Harkness? That's not it, because it's him. All of his bit I really enjoyed. And then it went back in time to talking of women talking about, oh no, Humphrey wants to marry me. Oh, what am I going to do? Oh. And I was like, this isn't Dracula. This isn't what I signed up for. What the heck is this about? And I dropped it because I wasn't a big reader at the time, and I was like, this isn't what I signed up for. But now, because it's in chronological order, you're getting those diaries in between all of the creepy vampire stuff. So I'm like, oh, this is tension, because I know that this is the real world, and it's going to be impacted by Dracula getting his fangs into stuff. Yeah, so I didn't manage to read a lot in May, but June already, I've read as many books. I've finished more books in June than I did in May already, and I'm looking forward to reading more. Quite a classical month, actually, by the looks of it. I've got Tale of Two Cities, I've got Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson, and then I've got some Jack London as well. So let me know in the comments below whether you plan your reading or if you end up with like crazy planned months like this. And I'll see you in the next one. Now, get out of my house!